Hey everybody, I'm Mike with MK Outdoor Journal, and this is The Right of the People, where we use the first to defend the second. So uncover your keyboard and fire up your fingers. It's time to join the conversation. Hey everybody, how are you on this winter storm warning, at least here in Ohio, Sunday evening? It is January 16th, 2022. Yeah, we're supposed to get somewhere between 8 and 12 inches tonight. And, well, you know, there's a joke in there somewhere, but I am trying to keep this a family-friendly show and podcast, so I'm not going to go there. And, well, I can't anyway. Anyhow, I'd like to welcome everybody out there in the chat. Mountain View showed up earlier, said looking forward to it. Work is canceled due to snow. Well, hey, that's right, man. Life hands you lemons, make lemonade. But don't eat the yellow snow. Lord Net Splits is out there, says, ban moronic actors, not guns. I hear ya. Tactical Fight is in the house. Artak and Daughters, Mystic Guns. How are you? Philip Searles is here. Yeah. Got a lot to talk. Scott79 is in the house. Send out a bunch of invites. Apparently nobody wants to come talk with me tonight, so I guess I'll be flying solo. Unfortunately for some, not solo, you can't hear me, right? So we are under a winter storm warning here in Northeast Ohio, so please forgive me if, you know, something crazy happens and the broadcast abruptly shuts off due to weather-related power outage or something. Who knows? Could happen. Hopefully not, though. Hopefully that everything will be wonderful and great. Just when I wake up, winter will actually be here. Instead of it just being cold, there'll be some snow. So, yeah, everybody out there who's forced to be driving in this today or tomorrow, you know, act like you've driven in snow before. Slow down. Calm down. Give yourself extra time. Remember, four-wheel drive doesn't mean four-wheel stop, etc., etc. I mean, if you're in the Northeast Ohio area, I'm assuming you've driven in snow before. Act like it. It was a snowstorm like this with ice to it that ended up being the cause of my daughter's fatal car accident back in 2017. In January, as a matter of fact. It was January 27th, about 11 days from now. So, you know, I'm kind of a stickler on this driving in the snow thing. So just be careful, go slow, take extra time. If you haven't said anything in the chat, please go ahead and sound off, particularly if you agree or disagree even with anything that's said today during the show. I do not mind being disagreed with. As a matter of fact, I welcome it. I do not want to live in an echo chamber. I do not want to just see and hear, yep, I agree. Yep, I agree with what you say. Because, well, that's not how we grow, is it? The only way we grow is if someone challenges our ideas and we have to take them out, take a look at them, and see if they need modification. I'm okay with being disagreed with. What I'm not okay with is people just downright being rude jerks. If you're going to be a downright rude jerk, my mods will take care of you. And if they don't, I will. The same goes with just spamming the comments with ridiculous links to this, that, or the other. And, you know, I guess last couple of weeks we've had some Russian bots show up and try to post links to Russian websites or stuff. Yeah, we're not going to do any of that. So, yeah. Also, tonight, I'm going to be giving away one of these. Those of you who watched my Thrunite flashlight review will know that I had a little contest going on to get one of these little Thrunite TI2 flashlights. I carry one of these every day. Matter of fact, I carry this one right here on my key ring every day. And as you can tell, it's been in my pocket, rubbing up against my keys a lot from the abuse that it's suffered. Still going strong. I use it all the time. It's a great handy thing. So I'm going to give one of you guys who commented with the hashtag Journal Junkie, must have had the hashtag Journal Junkie in the comment over on that video, and also must be a subscriber. We'll draw that later, and who knows, I might, you know what? I might give away a couple other things too. So, yeah. But we'll get to that later. First up, we are going to talk about Alec Baldwin again, because, well, stuff keeps coming up with him in connection with this Rust movie shooting. For those who don't know, Alec Baldwin was involved in, and by involved in, I mean he shot and killed Helena Hutchins, the cinematographer on the movie Rust, and the bullet penetrated her and exited her body and went into the director who was standing behind her. There are a lot of allegations that crew walked off the set because of safety concerns, particularly safety concerns involving firearms. And the production had a bunch of shenanigans going on with it. Well, those shenanigans do continue, because this piece from Bearing Arms says the Rust armorer claims Baldwin skipped gun training session. This is by Cam Edwards from January 14th, 2022. Alec Baldwin still hasn't turned over his cell phone to authorities investigating the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of his movie Rust back in October, despite a valid search warrant for the device. Baldwin's civil attorney claimed on Thursday that the phone is being turned over this week, which would indicate the sheriff will get the phone sometime today, but we'll have to wait and see if that pans out. This was written and published on Friday. Meanwhile, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, the 24-year-old armorer on the set of the independent film, alleges in a lawsuit filed on Wednesday that Baldwin skipped a firearms training session during the film's production, one that directly related to the cross-draw he was supposedly practicing when his revolver fired. The lawsuit says Gutierrez-Reed asked Baldwin to schedule the training on October 15th, less than a week before the fatal shooting, but she never heard back from the actor. A lawyer representing Baldwin didn't immediately respond Thursday to insiders' request for comment. New Mexico authorities have issued a search warrant for Baldwin's phone as part of their investigation. Gutierrez-Reed's lawsuit says she was not inside the mock church when Baldwin shot the cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the afternoon of October 21st because she believed that no gun-related rehearsing was underway. The suit adds that she also knew the film set's COVID-19 protocols advised against a large number of people crowding inside an enclosed space. The lawsuit says no one called Gutierrez-Reed back into the church when Baldwin began rehearsing the scene, which involved a cross-draw, even though her presence was required for any gun-related filming or rehearsing. Hannah did not see the weapon, nor did she have custody of it for approximately 15 minutes, the lawsuit says. Inside that 15-minute window, Baldwin began practicing a cross-draw in which he would grab the gun from his shoulder holster with his opposite hand and would draw it, the lawsuit says. Hutchins also directed Baldwin to point the firearm in her direction during that window, the lawsuit says. It adds that Gutierrez-Reed would have never permitted Baldwin to point his firearm at Hutchins had she been inside the church. Keep in mind, these are only allegations. And Gutierrez-Reed has faced her own allegations of impropriety since the shooting. The armorer also accused the company that supplied the firearms and ammunition to the set of mixing live ammunition with the dummy rounds that were supposed to be loaded into the guns before filming. Still, I wouldn't be shocked if the armorer's allegation pans out, at least as far as the suggested training goes. While there are still a lot of questions that need answers, it's been painfully obvious from the get-go that several fundamental rules of firearm safety were broken that day, including Baldwin pointing his gun at Hutchins and director Joel Souza, who were standing directly behind the camera Baldwin was aiming at. You always treat your gun as if it's loaded, and you never pointed at anything you're not willing to destroy. Plain and simple, and yet completely disregarded by the cast and crew on scene that day. Honestly, I still don't understand why the crew simply didn't set up a monitor for Hutchins and Sousa to look at that wasn't directly in the sight line of Baldwin's gun, which would have been the easiest way to ensure their safety. With the criminal investigation still underway and the civil suits flying left and right, it's impossible to know what the real story is at that moment. But maybe we'll be able to learn a little more if Baldwin actually complies with the sheriff's search warrant and turns over his cell phone this week. So there you go, folks. The Armorer of Rust is saying that Alec Baldwin skipped a training session on the technique that he was using at the time that he shot and killed Helena Hutchins. And yeah, he did it. The gun didn't just magically and mystically discharge, from without the trigger being pulled. No. Despite what he says. Let's see what anyone says out there in the chat, which is still saying hi to each other. Mike Warhorse, how you doing, sir? Says he's sorry he's late. Hey, man, get here when you can get here. It's all right. Real life comes first. And trust and believe that as much as I would like to believe otherwise, this is not the most important thing of the day. Or even the week. Even though I do like to tell myself that it's the best damn show on the internet every week before I go on, just to kind of psych myself up, maybe get a little bit of energy up when I'm feeling like I'm dragging ass, which is a lot lately. With the new job, which no, I'm not going to mention where, but with the new day job I have, I've been getting up at 6 a.m. and, well, I've 20 years of working afternoons and going to bed at 3. It's been a bit of a chore for me. Hell, I had today off, and I even got up at 6. I was awake, and that sucked. Mountain View says it's all on him. I can't argue with that. I have to think that ultimately the person responsible for the discharge of a firearm is the person who's holding the firearm. Period. Now, yes, I understand. There are protocols in place that should have been followed to ensure that there are no live rounds anywhere near the set, that those live rounds didn't get loaded into the weapon, that he didn't get handed a weapon that had live rounds, but ultimately, the hand that pulls the trigger is responsible for the bullet. Period. At least in my worldview. Mike Warhorse says, LOL, watching the snow start. Yeah, I know, right? We're going to get socked with this. Like 8 to 12 inches worth of it. So, yeah. Wow. It's going to be not good. But, hey, at least I don't have to go to work tomorrow either. So, that's cool. If anybody wants to... Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be so nice. I'm going to be so lovey-dovey. I am going to go ahead and just chuck this out in the chat if I can. I think I can, but that will destroy my poll I have up for Moron of the Week, I think. I'll have to redo the poll. Yeah, I will have to redo the poll. There you go, folks. You want to jump in? Have at it. Want to let your voice be heard and actually be part of the conversation? There's your link. Just be respectful or I'll give you the boot. Yeah, I know I'm taking a chance. Some Yahoo other than this one might hop in and want to talk, and that's cool. But hey, you guys can come on, stay as long as you want, stay as little as you want. That's all good. I don't know that anyone wants to, just listen to me talk to myself all evening or for the next hour or so. But hey, we can do that if that's what you want too. Mountain View says the blame game is happening because of lawsuits, nothing more. Absolutely. Tactical Fudd, a.k.a. Buck, says Alec will put the blame on somebody else. Yes, he already did. He already blamed Helena Hutchins. Well, she had me pointed at her. She had me do this rehearsing. He already blamed her. Oh, yes. So you were absolutely, positively, 100% correct. He'll put the blame on someone else. He did. The woman he killed. Nice guy, huh? Of course, I knew Alec was a nice guy with the "you're a disgusting little pig" message that he left to his daughter. I don't know if you guys remember that, when that voicemail leaked, that he had left a message calling his daughter a disgusting little pig and all that stuff. So, anybody that's wonderful like that to their own child, well, of course he's going to be extra special with other people, right? Yeah. In other news, if you aren't aware of it, if you are not a resident of Maryland, Maryland suffers from a assault weapons, quote unquote, ban. The FPC, the Second Amendment Foundation, and other organizations have filed a lawsuit some time ago to try to get rid of this, and they didn't win it. However, they are appealing this to SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, for those who don't know what SCOTUS means. This is a piece from firearmsnews.com. FPC, other groups appeal Maryland assault weapons ban to Supreme Court. Gee, doesn't Kingpin live in Maryland? If you're anywhere listening to this, Kingpin, please feel free to chime in. Clintoris is out there. There's such a thing as a good liberal that takes responsibility for their actions. I haven't seen one yet. Just saying. What's that, Jim Quinn? Jim Quinn's a radio host I used to listen to. He says, I think he says, being a Democrat means never having to say I'm sorry. So I think maybe that could apply just to liberal, right? Anyhow, this is a piece from firearmsnews.com. FPC, other groups appeal Maryland assault weapons ban to Supreme Court, by Mark Chestnut from January 15, 2022. In response to a recent ruling by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals that Maryland's assault weapon ban doesn't violate the Second Amendment to the Constitution, the Firearms Policy Coalition and several other groups are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn the decision. In the petition to the High Court concerning Bianchi v. Frosch, FPC, the Second Amendment Foundation, and a Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, which is an offshoot of the Second Amendment Foundation, explained how lower courts have repeatedly ignored important precedents like the Supreme Court's rulings in District of Columbia v. Heller and McDonald v. City of Chicago. While the lower federal courts are united in upholding these bans on common firearms, and in affirmatively rejecting the categorical analysis set forth by this court in Heller and McDonald, they have been unable to agree on the reason why the bans are purportedly constitutional. The petition stated, the result has been a grab bag of ad hoc constitutional tests varying from circuit to circuit. 4 circuits have settled on a form of review that they call intermediate scrutiny, but that in practice is hard to distinguish from a rational basis review. The label ultimately matters little, since Heller rejected either form of scrutiny in Second Amendment cases. In this decision, the Fourth Circuit Court held that common semi-automatic firearms like the AR-15, which Maryland has banned, were like M16s and unprotected by the Second Amendment, which and I'm digressing from the article here, which I find quite interesting, because the Supreme Court in the Miller case, back when the NFA was first introduced, said that sawed-off shotguns were not protected by the Second Amendment because they weren't militarily useful, and thus saying that a firearm that is militarily useful is protected by the Second Amendment. But, courts don't like that one. That case was lost because Miller didn't show up. The parties in the plaintiff in the Miller case didn't show up to court, so the government automatically won. The firearms banned by Maryland are clearly protected under any honest reading of the Second Amendment and the court's Heller and McDonald decisions, Adam Kraut, FPC's Senior Director of Legal Operations, said in a news alert. For over a decade, lower courts have ignored the text of the Constitution, binding Supreme Court precedent, and the relevant history and tradition to improperly uphold bans on constitutionally protected common arms. However, this case presents the court with an ideal vehicle to both address the scope of protected arms and constitutionally infirm analysis applied by these recalcitrant lower courts. Just as Federal District Court Judge Roger T. Benitez held in our Miller v. Bonta case, which is a different Miller case. The Supreme Court should grant this petition for certiorari and make clear that these common arms are protected and cannot be banned by any government. The petition to the court also notes that the ruling completely ignores the common, widespread use of AR-style rifles by millions of law-abiding Americans for a wide variety of legal purposes. Like the handguns at issue in Heller and McDonald, these semi-automatic firearms are in common use and typically possessed by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes. Just like that one up there. The petition stated, they may be freely purchased and used, but in the vast majority of states, they are no more dangerous than any other semi-automatic firearm, and Americans own them by the millions for purposes such as home defense, hunting, and target shooting. The petition also attacks the Fourth Circuit's reliance on a useful in military service test. This useful in military service test blatantly misreads Heller and is irreconcilable with the Second Amendment's text, the petition continued. It completely divorces the Second Amendment right from the militia-protecting purpose announced in the amendment's prefatory clause, in direct contradiction of Heller's instructions. The petition concluded with a call for the High Court to grant the writ to prevent the guide penned by the Fourth Circuit from leading the lower courts down a path that will eviscerate the protections intermediate scrutiny was designed to afford. So there you go, folks. The Firearms Policy Coalition, Second Amendment Foundation, and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms are appealing this Fourth Circuit decision to the Supreme Court. I don't know if the court is going to accept it. They might, because of the fact that different circuit courts are using different tests to judge it, different standards, different either the intermediate scrutiny or rational basis or some other standard. Different circuit courts are using different standards to judge it, and the Supreme Court kind of likes to take cases like that, where the different circuits are doing something different. So we'll see. Clint Torres says, first rule of leftism is it's somebody else's fault. Like Warhorse says, haven't seen one yet, Clint. So, yeah, I haven't seen one yet either who is eager to accept responsibility for anything they've done. Yeah. Man, I only got 9 people here today. Up 10. Is there like some kind of sports ball game or something on that I'm conflicting with? I don't know. I don't watch the stuff. So, any sports I watch involve shooting something or punching somebody. I don't watch football except for, with the single sole exception, if I'll watch the Super Bowl. But that's just because I'm at my brother's for the Super Bowl party, talking with all the guys and whatnot. Other than that, don't watch it. Don't care about it. It is what it is. Matter of fact, at 7:24 p.m., there probably is a sports ball game on, and that's why I have no panel and hardly anybody in the chat. But that's okay. I can get done with this and get to working on more leather projects. Roll call says yes. See, that's what it is. It's sports ball. Gotta watch us some sports ball. I like them guys, and I don't like them guys, and whoo! Now I got it. Yeah, see? We got a bot out here. Let's get rid of that one. Ka-ching. Boom. See ya. And hi, Ro. How you doing? I'm glad you're listening, buddy. Not watching sports ball. Why did you unhide that dude? That dude needs gone. I want that dude gone. There you go. You just... All right. You were trying to deal with it when I dealt with it. Gotcha. Carry on, Buck. Carry on. That's why you're a mod. So there's that. If you want to comment on this, folks, go ahead. You can either use the link to hop on to have your say, or say something in the chat. If you're listening on the replay, sound off in the comments. If you're listening on podcast, because this is being put back out on podcast now, it's on Spotify and Stitcher and actually I think Amazon podcast or on Audible or something. It's on a bunch of them. So I think all the links are in the description below. So check that out if you want to listen to this in podcast form. I usually... Oh, Road just got home. You guys got that snow out there yet? Or you probably... Usually weather comes from you guys before it hits us. Did the weather hit you guys out there, Ro? Because it's starting to hit us here. But yeah, check it out in podcast if you like. That's cool too. And if you're listening to this in podcast, come on over to the YouTube channel once or twice and, try to catch it live and be part of the conversation instead of just listening to it. Not that there's anything wrong with listening to it. I encourage you to listen to it. But, Maryland is a joke, Mountain View says. Well, I'll agree that Maryland's gun laws are a joke. I suppose there are probably some very nice people in there besides Kingpin. And, yeah. But their gun laws suck. I have to admit that. I cannot dispute that at all. Know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to give away a wallet. I'm going to give away one of these right here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give away this one. This is a card wrap wallet that I make and sell in my Etsy shop. Should be a link in the description somewhere. Kind of looks like this when you got it stuffed full of crap, which I do. Got it stuffed full of a bunch of cards and some cash and whatnot. But that's what it looks like. I got tired of carrying a big-ass wallet and went to something a little slimmer and then decided maybe people would like it. So I made my pattern on the computer after I drafted it by hand and whatnot, and was able to put that via Inkscape. Actually, I used Inkscape to draft it out in the computer and translate that to the laser engraver, which I still got to do a review video on, to the laser engraver I got sent, the Atom Stack A5 Pro, and used it to cut out the pattern and then drop it. And then laser engrave the Molon Labe on this one. And I'm going to go ahead and give this one away to somebody who commented Journal Junkie on the other video. So let's give this away. And remember, got to be a sub, and you got to have commented with a hashtag Journal Junkie in the other video. And the winner of this wallet is Patriot in the Dark. Hashtag Journal Junkie. So Patriot, send me an email, mike@mkoutdoorjournal.com. Let me know your address, and I'll send you this card wrap. If you don't like it, give it to somebody. They might like it. And then we will we'll start again and reset that. And, yeah. We'll give away another one later. I am not drunk off Diet Coke. I wouldn't touch that swill unless it was at McDonald's. That's the only time I would like Diet Coke is if it's from McDonald's. They do Diet Coke perfectly. This happens to be Diet Pepsi, which was not my favorite, but I couldn't find like a 6-pack of bottled Diet Dr. Pepper. So, got to do what you got to do. So, Patriot in the Dark gets this wonderful wallet. Has my Leather Business logo laser etched on the front. Hand sewn from vegetable tan leather. It's pretty awesome. I think I'm going to give this one away next. Don't tread on me, so we'll give this one away later. New York Outcast in the house. How are ya? New York Outcast says, damn it, I'm a big-ass wallet guy. Well, if you want me to, I'll make you a big-ass wallet. And as a matter of fact, if you didn't win this one, folks, and you want one, you can head over to the Etsy shop and order one. You know, just saying. I'll make you one. I'm going to make you a gimp suit if you pay me. I don't care. John Lloyd Sharf says, always keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. Firearms should be unloaded when not actually in use. Don't rely on your gun's safety. That's right. Safety is a mechanical device that can fail. And remember, Murphy says that if something can happen, it will happen. And common sense says that if something can happen, it will happen to you. So, yeah, that's no bueno. So, what's next on our agenda here? What article do I want to talk about with you guys? I'm about to get a copyright claim from that, right? There's more idiocy happening, and no, we're not. That's not a ham-fisted segue into the moron of the week. We'll get there later. But there's more idiocy happening in our wonderful source of all idiocy, Congress. There's a reason I call them Congress critters, because, well, they barely even rate that, right? Sorry. Had to have my Diet Pepsi. I'm getting a little bit parched. I normally have a panel here to talk with and let them talk, and well, I'm getting a little parched from having to talk all this much, but that's all right. That's good. I'm just glad anybody's here watching it, right? All right. Hey, by the way, folks, if you haven't already went over there to comment to get in on the next wallet giveaway or the wonderful little, where the hell did I put it? Wonderful little Thrunite flashlight giveaway, head on over to the Thrunite flashlight review video on my channel. Leave a comment, be a subscriber, make sure the comment has a hashtag Journal Junkie in it. And that will let you have an opportunity to win either a wallet or the flashlight here in a little bit. Alrighty, so next up is the idiocy coming from Congress. Well, there's a lot of idiocy coming from Congress pretty much all the time, but this specific idiocy I'm referring to is this piece from firearms.com. Bill introduced mandating gun storage requirements by John Petrolino, January 15th, 2022. All too often, the talking heads of the Anti-Freedom Caucus spew out their buzzword-laden points, expecting them to be slurped up as gospel. One of the phrases gun owners need to pay heed to, and this is something I've heard from industry members some industry members start to combat, is the term safe storage. When it comes to firearm storage, the term safe storage has wedged itself into press releases and bill texts in the context of dictating how a person shall store their firearm. We need to gain control of the conversation and talk about responsible storage. Safe storage almost always insinuates that the firearm must be locked up. Responsible storage, that gives a little more latitude in methodologies, in my opinion, and is a mentality versus a dictate. On January 10th, H.R. 6370, Safe Guns, Safe Kids Act, was introduced by Representative Alyssa Slotkin, Democrat, Michigan, 8th District. Turning to Slotkin's webpage, we can find a press release from December 15, 2021 that unveiled the introduction of the bill. U.S. Representative Alyssa Slotkin, Michigan 8, today announced that she will introduce the Safe Guns, Safe Kids Act, a bill to require safe and proper storage of firearms in households to prevent children and others from illegally accessing the weapon. Slotkin will introduce the bill in the wake of the shooting at Oxford High School on November 30th, which left 4 teenage students dead. I'm introducing this bill because of the destructive role the parents of the killer had on the lives of 4 teenagers at Oxford High School and thousands more in the community, said Slotkin. At church services, vigils and funerals, and visits with parents, teachers, and law enforcement, everyone's priority is to keep our kids safe. And it's clear there's a gap in law that makes it hard to hold parents accountable for aiding their child in committing a crime with a gun. I come from a gun-owning family, and I carried 2 firearms on my 3 tours in Iraq with the CIA. There are millions of responsible gun owners in Michigan, including my own dad. This bill will require gun owners to store or lock their firearms when children are present, and will hold them accountable when they fail to do so. This legislation is a serious common-sense effort to address a safety issue that is taking American lives all around the country. Ensuring that firearms are properly stored and not left to fall into the hands of those who could use them for violence is essential. The goal is to prevent another American town from experiencing the devastation we've felt in Oxford over the last 2 weeks. H.R. 6370 is another feel-good measure that'll do nothing to stop tragic events from occurring. On the contrary, having the government dictate how one must store their firearm could result in an adverse outcome for those that are looking to store their firearm for the use of self-defense. People will either follow the law or they will not. Further, the people more likely to follow the law are ones that are already responsibly storing their firearms the way they see fit. The bill does have some latitude in it on storage methods, but not enough for my comfort. Let's turn to the bill text and take a look. To amend Chapter 44 of Title 18 U.S. Code to require the safe storage of firearms and for other purposes. Secure gun storage by owners, offense in general, except as provided in Clause 2, it shall be unlawful for a person to knowingly store or keep any firearm that has moved in or that has otherwise affected interstate or foreign commerce on the premises of a residence under the control of the person if the person knows or reasonably should know that a minor is likely to gain access to the firearm without the permission of the parent or guardian of the minor, and a minor obtains the firearm and uses the firearm in the commission of a crime or causes injury or death to such a minor or any other individual. Exception. Clause 1 shall not apply to a person if the person keeps the firearm secure using a secure gun storage or safety device or in a location which a reasonable person would believe to be secure, or carries the firearm on his or her person or within such close proximity thereto that the person can readily retrieve and use the firearm as if the person carried the firearm on his or her person. Whoever violates the Paragraph A shall be fined under this title, imprisoned for not more than 5 years, or both. In this paragraph, the term minor means an individual who is less than 18 years of age. Basically, the law would require that firearms be secure using a secure gun storage or safety device, or stored in a location which a reasonable person would believe to be secure, if the firearm is not on the owner's person or close proximity. What's a location that a reasonable person would believe to be secure? It's a great question. All right, the law would not require the guns to be locked up, but if they're not, they have to be reasonably secured. Laws like this are punitive in nature. All they do is tack on charges when a crime or negligent event occurs. That's all. The law is saying, thou shalt store your firearm in this manner, and by not complying, there are 0 repercussions unless something happens. Essentially, the government is saying, don't do this, and only the law-abiding are going to follow. Here's my proposal, which maybe should be written into the bill. To fit the requirement of in a location which a reasonable person would believe to be secure, a nightstand should suffice as long as the parent or adult in the dwelling tells any minors you're not allowed to go in the nightstand drawer. This is the exact same logic that's being used in this bill, is it not? Because you're either going to have a child that follows the rules or you're not, just like you're going to have an adult that follows the law or not. The matter of firearm storage is a personal one. The acts of negligent parents should not end up dictating how the rest of the country shall store their guns. And an adolescent or minor child that's looking to create mayhem and commit egregious acts may or may not find a way into, say, a gun safe. Or they may or may not be able to cut off a cable lock in a secured firearm. Ask me how easy it's to cut off those cable locks that come with handguns in the event of, say, a key getting lost. Pretty easy. Do an internet search and you'll find a multitude of ways to gain access to firearms that are stored in a so-called safe manner. The biggest, baddest safes on the market, if knocked over, can be cut open over the course of a few minutes or hours, depending on the grade of steel, with simple-to-purchase tools and materials at the hardware store. That's not to say I'm not a fan of safes, because I am. But I'm also a fan of the adult population being able to decide what works best for them. For some, that could be a safe, others trigger locks, while in some homes it's responsible to store firearms in nightstand drawers. It's not for the government to decide. The more salient approach might be to create an educational campaign about what responsible storage of firearms is and what that means to each person as an individual. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to how one may elect to store their firearm, and the legislators would be better off admitting that. It's about time our so-called representatives aim to work with people rather than against them. Set up the condition so that people would want to be responsible rather than cram it down their throats. And I think, folks, that is the crux of the issue. Even something like this gun cabinet, because that's not a safe, it's a cabinet. Something like that cabinet, although I need to get one, get another one, get a bigger one. Anyhow, something like that cabinet is at least a good idea. Have some way to lock your guns up. Absolutely right. I agree that people should do that. I think everyone should secure their firearms when they're not on their person. I do. My firearms are either within reach or on me or locked up. That being said, it's not the government's place to tell you what to do in your home. It's yours. You have to exercise that so vanishingly rare ability, it should be a superpower, common sense, and decide for yourself what fits your needs the best in your situation. I don't live in your home. I don't know who's in your home. I don't know the responsibility levels. I don't know the maturity levels. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what kind of neighborhood you live in. I don't know whether you're likely to get broken into while you're home alone. I don't know if you're likely to get broken into while you're not home. I don't know what constitutes the best method for you to ensure that unauthorized persons do not have access to your guns. There's only one place that I have that kind of expertise in. There's only one piece of property that I had the ability to determine what needs to happen on. And that's mine. That's this one. That's the place I'm sitting right now. Not yours. And it's not anybody on Capitol Hill's responsibility. It's not anybody on Capitol Hill's job. And it's not anybody on Capitol Hill's right to tell me, you, or anybody else how you need to do it. Do I think it's a good idea? Absolutely. Do I think it should be mandatory? Hell no. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat, or if you're going to do this on replay, in the comments down below. Rob, bad. Shame on you. Made cookies and they turned out fabulous. But then got in trouble for giving them away. Mike Warhorse says, talking about what I was saying earlier, says he's accident prone. Murphy and him know each other very well. Mountain View says, I got a Don't Tread on Me shirt for Christmas. It has a picture of Kyle Rittenhouse on it. She found it on Facebook of all things. Oh, that's cool. I bet people people do get triggered seeing it. I just bet they do. Tactical Fed says they need to put gun safety back in school. Yeah, I think it would be a good idea. Mountain View just says, put up a gun-free zone sign and call it good. Well, that's what a lot of people do. Yeah. Shame, shame, shame. They think that wonderful sign is going to protect them. But the only sign that might have any chance of giving you some sort of protection from a criminal, and it's a small one, is an alarm company sign. Even if it's a bluff, that might dissuade the lazy ones. Before I got into corrections, I used to think all criminals were lazy. They just didn't want to work. But I quickly found out that that's not the case. Not all criminals are lazy. A lot of them invest significant amounts of energy, time, and thought into how to do things the wrong way. Crazy, but it's true. A lot of them, if they wanted to apply that creativity, drive, and focus to something productive, could be an outstanding success, but they choose to be shitbags, as Roe would call them. Yep. New York Outcast says, no one knows when you're going to get robbed, but people choose to risk a lot of things. Individuals choose with some common sense, is my opinion. Absolutely right. Individual choice, exercise your own judgment. I mean, that's it. For me, let's lock everything up. Unless I have it in use, like, that thing up there, in use right now, or it's on me. Other than that, lock it up. Because, yeah, I don't want anybody getting hold of my stuff. But that's my choice. For you, if you live alone, you're not in a high crime neighborhood, you secure your stuff, you secure your house at night, or maybe you lock it in a closet or whatever, it's on you. It's up to you, man. I can't tell you what to do, and wouldn't even if I could, because you are not my responsibility. I am my responsibility. You are your responsibility, right? So no, while I think it is a good idea, I don't think safe storage, quote unquote, should be mandatory. Another thing that I think is a really, 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 really good idea, but should never, ever, 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 ever be mandatory, is training. There's a push amongst the antis, the freedom haters, to require mandatory training for gun ownership. Not just for carrying, but for mere possession, mere ownership. And I think that's wrong. Although, this article kind of puts it in perspective. This is from Bearing Arms by Tom Knighton from January 15th. A not-so-modest proposal for mandatory training. In the past week or so, we've seen a push by anti-Second Amendment folks to call for mandatory training prior to people being able to exercise their right to keep and bear arms. And not just to carry a gun, but to simply own one. Now, we oppose this when it comes to gun rights for obvious reasons. However, it's very clear that many don't. As such, I figured I'd offer something of a compromise. Right now, I can see Squib's head exploding. I can just picture it. But pay attention, listen. Let's give this article a chance. In particular, if gun control folks are going to be insistent on mandatory training, then I'm going to push back with calls for mandatory training before exercising other rights. To start with, we should require mandatory training before allowing people to vote. After all, an uninformed electorate could lead to all kinds of problems. I mean, gestures towards the White House. We should require all citizens wishing to vote to undergo a mandatory training course prior to being able to cast a ballot. The course should require some degree of basic civics as to what elected officials can do and what they cannot. I know when I was in high school, it was a requirement for seniors to take and pass a government course. I wonder what happened to that. Additionally, we should also require mandatory training before anyone can attend a house of worship of any faith. Oh, wait, no, let me back that up. What officials can do and what they cannot. It should also include the constitutional limits to the government so that these voters don't get led astray by promises that won't pass legal muster. You know, things like free money, forgiveness of college loans, things like that. Additionally, we should also require mandatory training before anyone can attend a house of worship of any faith. After all, you wouldn't want someone to walk into a mosque and do everything wrong, deeply offending our Muslim neighbors now, would you? The mandatory course would include a basic primer on all faiths worshipped in the United States so people can make an informed decision as to where to worship and what to do when they arrive. The fact that such a course would amount to the coursework for a theology degree is completely irrelevant. We should also require mandatory training before exercising one's freedom of speech. After all, some people talk a lot of nonsense. I mean, I saw someone advocating for communism just yesterday. That shouldn't be allowed. So clearly, before people speak, they should be required to undergo a mandatory training class. I mean, they might offend someone by advocating for socialism, communism, or some other faulty line of thinking. And while we're at it, we need to mandate training for journalists. No, I'm not talking about journalism school, something that's not actually required for one to become a journalist. I mean, look here, right? I'm a member of the Professional Outdoor Media Association, and I ain't had to go to no schooling for it. I just had to be doing it. But a government-mandated training course one must go through lest they report inappropriately. I mean, we can't have journalists giving government officials a hard time like they did President Trump, right? What? What's that? You think this is out of line and unconstitutional? Well, that may be. But if you're someone who thinks I should be forced to undergo training before exercising a right protected by the Constitution, then why shouldn't you be forced to undergo training before exercising some right precious to you? It's been said that the Second Amendment is treated as a second-class right. The idea of mandatory training in order to exercise it illustrates this idea perfectly, especially since we know that many of these other proposals I just made would be shot down in a heartbeat. After all, how is something a right if you must pass a course first in order to use it? At that point, it becomes a privilege. If you have an issue with any of those proposals above, then you should at least show some consistency and stand against mandatory training for gun ownership. And I think that Mr. Knighton put it very well. When you apply those same circumstances and same requirements to the First Amendment to any of the other amendments that they wish to apply to the Second, it simply doesn't pass muster. And the fact is, the free exercise of those other amendments can be just as deadly as using a pistol or a rifle or a shotgun or a knife or an axe or a sword or anything inappropriately. Misusing any of our rights is just as dangerous as misusing another. You don't think so? Look at the damage a horrible president can do. Look at the damage a political ideology that's being abused can do. Look at the damage a religion and the expression thereof that's being abused can do. So, if you're going to apply restrictions, and if you're going to require licensing, and if you're going to require training for the Second Amendment, why not the rest? Oh, but wait, you like those other things and you don't like guns, so that's why. Be intellectually honest, even at least with yourselves, folks. What do you guys think in the chat? And if you're watching this on replay, sound off in the comments below. Did we have another bot? Yep, we had another bot. All right. Philip Searles, and I'm sure He's talking about the previous topic, says it should stay a personal choice. Mountain View says, anyone see that PSA now sells carry insurance? No, I haven't seen that. I'm going to have to look at that. Speaking of PSA, in March, since, I'm not in Vegas, I can't go to SHOT Show. I'm going to try to make it. I've registered for it anyway. They're gathering at the Sawmill to go talk with them and a bunch of other companies that are there to try to make it to their media day. So that'll be pretty cool. Go over to the Palmetto State website or do a search for gathering at the Sawmill and see who all is going to be there. And drop me an email and let me know who you want me to make sure I talk with. New York Outcast says that's cool. More insurance options, the better. Just unfortunate we need it at all. Says he personally liked USCCA. Yeah, I have USCCA myself. Don't have an issue with PSA selling insurance. I just hope it won't be like when the NRA did it. Oh, boy. Yeah, that was a Charlie Foxtrot and a half. Hey, Guns of Barbecue, how you doing? Mike Warhorse says, I like the article. Stuff to think about. Good way to argue it. Yeah, that's what I thought, too. That's why I decided to go ahead and share this with you guys, because it seems to me like it was a well-thought-out rebuttal to that line of thinking that, we need to have training for this constitutionally enumerated right. Well, then why don't we need to have training for the others? Because a right is a right is a right is a right. An amendment is an amendment is an amendment is an amendment. A piece of the Bill of Rights is a piece of the Bill of Rights is the piece of the Bill of Rights. They're all inalienable, ain't they? Well, all rights are created equal, just some rights are more equal than others. Apparently. They subscribe to the George Orwell line of thought in Animal Farm, right? Speaking of subscribe, if you are a subscriber, and if you have went over to my flashlight review video, the Thrunite flashlight review video, and left a comment with the hashtag Journal Junkie, well, one of you is now going to get this wonderful Yaller card wrap wallet. If you guys haven't seen the card wraps, well, let me dig this out again. Somebody want to ban the bot? Let me, boom, get rid of that. Just ban that bot. Anyhow, this is what they look like when they got stuff in them. There's like 11 or 12 cards in there, plus some cash folded up. Works pretty good. I like it. Anyhow, I'm going to send one of you guys this Don't Tread on Me version. So let's go on over and pick another comment. Now, if Patriot comes up, I'm not going to win it. Everybody's going to, the winners are only going to win once. So I will send this to, I'll just do another one and, pick another one. So here we go. Random comment. MK Joe. Hashtag says, nice little light. Hashtag Journal Junkie. So MK Joe, let me know what your mailing address is, brother. And I will send this out to you. This handy dandy, wonderful, Don't Tread on Me card wrap. If you didn't win it and you want one, head on over to my Etsy shop. You can order one. I'll make you one. It's that easy, folks. Mountain View says 100% agree. They only go after guns because they don't like guns. They want people ignorant and not informed people. Tara Smith says hello. Well, hello, Tara. How are you? Guns of Barbecue says howdy. Doing well. Thanks for asking. And you? How's the snowstorm for you? I think you are only about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours southwest of me. It's snowing. I don't know. I'm stuck down here in my basement. I have no idea. It was going pretty fair. Not super horrible when I came down here, but who knows where it is now. I know we're supposed to get between 8 and 12 inches. So, yes, we shall see what we shall see. Now, mandatory training is just ridiculous. Maybe even, dare I say, stupid. And, well, you guys know what's coming next. Speaking of stupid.
And now prepare yourself for another tale of stupidity in this episode of Moron of the Week.
Well, folks, first up in Moron of the Week, they're banging the drum for smart guns yet again. Exclusive. This is from Reuters. Smart guns finally arriving in U.S., seeking to shake up firearms market. By Daniel Trotta. January 11th. Personalized smart guns, which can be fired only by verified users, may finally become available to U.S. consumers after 2 decades of questions about reliability and concerns they will usher in a new wave of government regulation. 4-year-old Lodestar Works on Friday unveiled its 9mm smart handgun for shareholders and investors in Boise, Idaho. And a Kansas company, Smart Guns with a Z, LLC, says law enforcement agencies are beta testing its product, a similar but simpler model. Both companies hope to have a product commercially available this year. Lodestar co-founder Gareth Glazer said he was inspired after hearing one too many stories about children shot while playing with an unattended gun. Smart guns could stop such tragedies by using technology to authenticate a user's identity and disable the gun should anyone else try to fire it. They could also reduce suicides, render lost or stolen guns useless, and offer safety for police officers and jail guards who fear gun grabs. But attempts to develop smart guns have stalled. Smith & Wesson got hit with a boycott, a German company's product was hacked, and a New Jersey law aimed at promoting smart guns has raised the wrath of defenders of the Second Amendment. The Lodestar gun, aimed at first-time buyers, would retail for $895. The test firing of the Lodestar gun before Reuters cameras has not been reported elsewhere. A range officer fired the weapon, a third-generation prototype, in its different settings without issue. Glazer acknowledged that there will be additional challenges to large-scale manufacturing, but expressed confidence that after years of trial and error, the technology was advanced enough and the microelectronics inside the gun are well protected. We finally feel like we're at the point where, let's go public, Glazer said. We're there. Most early smart gun prototypes used either fingerprint unlocking or radio frequency identification technology that enables the gun to fire only when a chip in the gun communicates with another chip worn by the user in a ring or bracelet. Lodestar integrated both a fingerprint reader and near-field communication chip activated by a phone app, plus a pin pad. The gun can be authorized for more than one user. The fingerprint reader unlocks the gun in microseconds, but since it may not work when wet or in adverse conditions, the pin pad is there as a backup. Lodestar did not demonstrate the near-field communication signal, but it would act as a secondary backup, enabling the gun as quickly as users can open the app on their phones. Smart Guns would not say which law enforcement agencies are testing its weapons, which are secured by radio frequency identification. Smart Guns developed a model selling at $1,795 for law enforcement and $2,195 for civilians, said Tom Holland, a Kansas Democratic state senator who co-founded the company in 2020. Colorado-based BioFire is developing a smart gun with a fingerprint reader. Skeptics have argued that smart guns are too risky for a person trying to protect a home or family during a crisis or for police in the field. The National Shooting Sports Foundation, the Firearms Industry Trade Association, says it does not oppose smart guns as long as the government doesn't mandate their sale. If I had a nickel for every time in my career I heard somebody say they're about to bring a so-called smart gun to the market, I'd probably be retired now, said Lawrence Keene, Senior Vice President of the NSSF. Guns coming to market could trigger a 2019 New Jersey law requiring all gun shops in the state to offer smart guns after they become available. The 2019 law replaced the 2002 law that would have banned the sale of any handgun except smart guns. The other side tipped their hand because they use smart guns to ban everything that's not a smart gun, said Scott Bach, executive director of the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs. It woke gun owners up. When Smith & Wesson pledged in 1999 to promote smart gun development, among other gun safety measures in an agreement with the U.S. government, the National Rifle Association sponsored a boycott that led to a drop in revenue. In 2014, German company Armatix put a smart .22 caliber pistol on the market, but it was pulled from stores after hackers discovered a way to remotely jam the gun's radio signals and, using magnets, fire the gun when it should have been locked. Wow. Remember how we said earlier that mechanical devices can fail, and if it can fail, it will fail? Interesting. So, dunce designers, you are first up in Moron of the Week. But wait. As Yoda said, there is another. This is from the Daily Orange. This is a column. The Daily Orange is a student newspaper from, I forget what college. Some bastion of liberal thought, I can only imagine. This is by Melanie Wilder. On November 30th, 2021, there was a fatal shooting at the Oxford High School outside of Detroit, Michigan. Authorities say at least 30 shots were fired, killing 4 students as well as wounding 6 students and 1 teacher from the high school. The 4 students who were killed were Madison Baldwin, Tate Meyer, Hannah St. Juliana, and Justin Schilling. The U.S. comprises less than 5% of the world's population, yet we make up about 30% of the world's public mass shooters and own 42% of the world's guns. It has been statistically proven that a country's gun ownership rate correlates with the likelihood the country will experience a mass shooting. So, I would say, Ms. Wilder, show me your statistics. You're in college, you're educated, you're a university student. Cite your sources, darling. Since the U.S. is the top civilian gun-owning country in the world, it makes sense statistically why we continue to have so many mass shootings. Again, cite your sources. So why does America still own so many guns even after knowing they correlate to more mass shootings? So let's set up a straw man argument here. Just right off the bat, guns correlate to mass shootings. You're using that as a statement of fact when you failed to prove it. You say statistically. How? What statistics? Cite your sources. Show me your information. Don't just simply make claims and then not substantiate it. There's a reason why I show you guys every single article I'm quoting. Every single one. And it's that. So you can go do the research yourself. So the answer is simple. It's because of money and power. The National Rifle Association is a political lobbying group that specializes in gun rights. It is one of the most powerful special interest lobby groups in the U.S., and it spends about $250 million per year to influence gun policy and buy Wayne LaPierre suits and pay for his intern love shack. But I digress. The NRA also has power over who is in office, as they publicly grade members of Congress from A to F on their position on gun rights. These ratings greatly influence poll numbers and even who is voted into office. So it's the NRA's fault that we own so many guns, and we have so many guns, so many mass shootings because we own so many guns. Therefore, it must be the NRA's fault that we have mass shootings, right? I mean, that logic flows. Except, again, sweetheart, show your work. Show your sources. Where are you getting your information? How were the statistics generated? What were polls were used? What questions were used? What were the sample sizes of the poll? What are the demographics of the sample of the poll? All of those things have an effect. One thing I learned when I was in school, sweetheart, and yes, I'm deliberately being patronizing to her. One of the things I learned when I was in school, sweetheart, is that a poll can be manipulated to say anything that you want. You can produce statistics that say anything by asking the right questions at the right time to the right people in the right amounts. So your article is nothing but liberal anti-gun talking points, sweetheart. And I'm sorry, but that earned you a spot in Moron of the Week. So, yes, let me redo my poll, and we will go from there. I mean, really, show me your work. Show me your sources. Some of you thought I was going to say show me your something else, right? No, I would not do that. I'm too old for that crap. Maybe when I was in college I would have said something like that, and may have, but not now. So Dunce Designers goes in slot number 2, and Stupid Student. Actually, Dunce Designers goes in slot number 1. Stupid Student goes in slot number 2. And there you go, folks. Tell me who you think should be the Moron of the Week. Let's see what they're saying out there in the chatteroo. Guns and Barbecue, that's about my assessment. We seem to be getting an inch or so right now. We're supposed to get 12 plus. Tactical FUD says, and this is my question, and what happens when the government turns off all the smart guns? Why do you think they want to do it, folks? Remember, as I've said about 5 million times, gun control is never about the gun. It's always about the control. Period. Always. Without fail. Guns and Barbecue says, you know WTF stops accidents like that? Educating and raising your children about and around firearms and firearm safety. This could also take life. A bystander couldn't help if the situation occurred. It could fail to operate when needed. This could go bad in a lot of ways. Yep. If I modify a garage door opener, I can use your gun, right? Probably not that simple. It would be crazy if it was. Who knows? It might be. Mike Warhorse says, I work in the security industry. You'd be surprised what I've seen. Guns don't kill people by themselves. The person is the issue, not the tool. She's probably flat as the plains. Well, her brain sure is. Right now, we got Stupid Student at 67% of the vote, and Dunce Designers at 33%. We have 6 votes in, folks. We got 13 people watching. Vote. Let your voice be heard. This is your chance to affect someone's destiny. Okay, maybe it's not, that big a deal, but hey, it's your point to chime in. It's your chance to chime in and be heard, right? Unlike Dominion voting machines, this actually counts your votes. And no, not double, and not if you're dead. Yeah, we got Inauguration Day coming up, the anniversary of Joe Biden's inauguration, right? Or as I like to call it, Elections Have Consequences Day. Mountain View says, I think it's funny how they blame the NRA and claim it's such a strong gun rights advocate, but we know the truth on that one. Yeah, I know, right? The ones they really need to be afraid of are like the Second Amendment Foundation, of which, by the way, I am a life member, and so should you be. It's only like $150 when I bought it. I don't know what it is now. Probably not too much. And an annual membership is only like $15 a year, so why not? They're regaining your rights one lawsuit at a time. No, I am not sponsored by them. I wish I would. I would gladly accept their money. So, Alan, holler at your boy. But New York Outcast says, I voted. Trust this more than my polling place. But yeah, support the organizations that support you. and actively fight for your rights. See, what do we got? We still got only 6 votes. Man, what is this? See, this is it. This is why we got Joe Biden. Voter turnout. No, we got Joe Biden from Dominion voting machines, right? Let's stop counting at 3 a.m. until we figure out how many votes we need. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call this one. Like CNN, 10 minutes after the polls close, I'm going to call this. And stupid student, you are the moron of the week.
And there we had another tale of stupidity in this week's episode of Moron of the Week.
All right, folks. Normally this would lead us into the self-defense shout-outs. But we got one last piece of business to take care of before we do that. And that is this right here. We need to give away one of these Thrunite TI2 flashlights. And it is going to go to someone who went over to the flashlight review and left a comment with the hashtag Journal Junkie. And yeah, I'm going to go over there and pick that right now. If you are the winner. And no, it can't be one of the two who already won, Patriot and MK Joe. If you're the winner, send an email to mike@mkoutdoorjournal.com and let me know your address. I will get a flashlight sent to you. So, let's go ahead and pick this right on screen so that there is no accusations. And the winner of the flashlight is Tactical FUD. Hashtag Journal Junkie. So Buck gets himself a flashlight. Congrats, Buck. It is a cool little light. I hope it comes in handy for you like it has for me, brother. Because that little thing, I use it all the time. New York Outcast says, we got robbed. Mike Warhorse says, wait, I found some other uncounted votes. Says we got set up, suckered, bulldozed, screwed over. I could go on. So, Tactical FUD, you won, buddy. And so now, that leaves us but with one more thing to do. And that is Roll Call 219's favorite segment, Self-Defense Shoutouts. Self-defense shoutouts, for those who have not been here before or who have not stayed around to the end, are not where I'm reveling in the proposition that the bad guy won the room temperature challenge by taking a dirt nap. It's where I'm instead reveling in the proposition that the good guy had the means, method, and opportunity to keep the bad guy from making him do the same. And let's go over to that. First topic on self-defense shoutouts is this piece from KSWO.com. Homeowner shoots, kills intruder in Chickasha. Or Chickasha. I have no idea how to pronounce that. I'm sure Mystic can tell me out there, since I believe she is Oklahoman. This is from January 11th. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation is investigating a homicide that happened after someone reportedly broke into a home and crashed into a KFC in Chickasha. According to the OSBI, it started when the suspect crashed a vehicle into the KFC early Tuesday morning and then through several yards. OSBI said the suspect then backed into a house and started banging on the windows. The homeowners told investigators they heard the noise and went outside to see what was happening when the suspect came up to their porch and assaulted the wife and ran inside the home. That's when OSBI said the husband grabbed his gun and at some point shot the suspect, who died at the scene. The suspect's identity has not been released at this time, while OSBI said the homeowners are cooperating with the investigation. Good for you, sir. I'm glad you had the means to protect your home. Luckily, you didn't have to mess with a pin pad or make sure you had your RFID chip on your ring or implant it in your hand or wherever. So, yeah. Or hope the fingerprint reader worked because, the one on my phone works so well. So good for you. Next up is this piece from Inquirer.com. Man 60 shoots suspected carjacker 16 in West Mount Airy, from January 13th. A 60-year-old man shot and wounded an armed teen during a carjacking Thursday night in the city's West Mount Airy section, police said. The incident occurred around 7:45 p.m. at Sharpnack and Cherokee Streets, where the 16-year-old boy attempted to take the man's white Pontiac at gunpoint, police said. A gun battle ensued, and the suspect was shot once in each leg and grazed in the chest. The teen was later apprehended in the area of Germantown Avenue and Slocum Street and taken to Einstein Medical Center, where he was listed in critical condition. At the crime scene, police found 2 firearms, one belonging to the driver on the hood of the Pontiac and the other on the ground in front of the car, as well as 13 spent shell casings. The driver, who was not injured, had a license to carry a concealed firearm, police said. Last year, Philadelphia experienced a dramatic surge in the number of reported carjackings, 757 compared to 404 in 2020. In December, U.S. Representative Mary Gay Scanlon had her car stolen at gunpoint. And in recent days, some victims have fought back by shooting their assailants. Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw, I think that's one funny name for a police commissioner, but I digress, addressed the problem at a news conference late Thursday afternoon and on social media Wednesday evening. We recognize the fear and uncertainty these incidents bring, as the victims in these cases have touched nearly every demographic, Outlaw wrote. She said her department is aggressively confronting the issue with additional resources and a task force dedicated to carjackings. Last year, there were 757 reported carjackings in Philadelphia, an increase of 34% over 2020. Out of those 757 reported carjackings, police arrested 150 individuals, clearing 93 investigations through those arrests, Outlaw wrote. While we can expect more arrests and case clearances in the future, we recognize that these statistics are not anywhere close to where we need them to be, and work is underway to minimize these occurrences, she added. Yeah, there should be more fatalities among carjackers because more people should have firearms. Just saying. And last, but most certainly not least, this is from MLive.com. Sanilac County man shoots home invasion suspect, police say. When is this from? January 16th. Forestville, Michigan. A home invasion suspect is in police custody after a homeowner managed to shoot the alleged perpetrator during the attack, according to a news release from the Sanilac County Sheriff's Office. At roughly 4:50 a.m. Saturday, January 15th, Sanilac County Central Dispatch received a call about a man who had been shot in the village of Forestville, according to the release. Dispatchers learned a Forestville resident had been stabbed during a home invasion, but was able to obtain a firearm and shoot the suspect, according to the release. The victim, a 33-year-old Forestville man, was taken to Harbor Beach Community Hospital for his injuries and was later released, according to the release. The 37-year-old suspect, a resident of Carsonville, was taken to Deckerville Community Hospital and later transferred to Ascension St. Mary's Hospital in Saginaw. After his treatment, police took the suspect into custody. The suspect is lodged at the Sanilac County Jail while he awaits arraignment, according to the release. The case is still active, and police will not release any further details until the suspect is formally charged and the incident is investigated further. At least MLive.com got it right about who was the victim and who was the suspect in this case, because all too often, news organs don't. They seem to forget that. And on that note, yeah, Buck, if you could just email me at mike at mkoutdoorjournal.com with your address, I'd appreciate it. Same with you, MK Joe, if you're out there, and same with you, Patriot, if you're out there. I'm going to try to find y'all's addresses somewhere. And yeah, if you guys happen to know how to contact MK Joe or Patriot in the Dark, do me a favor and contact them and let them know, hey, you got to send Mike an email so he knows to give you your swag. Mountain View says, can you imagine Ruby Ridge but with smart guns? The government rolls up, turns off your guns, and what? Draw a sword and Valhalla! Yeah, that's pretty much it. Some of us might have some idea what to do with that sword, though, so, then they'll be calling for smart swords next. Just say it. On that note, I would also like to say thank you to all of you who've been here and listened to me blather on for an hour and 25 minutes. When I'm done here, and I think at 9 o'clock is when Rich does it, go over to the Unloaded Media channel and listen to This Week Unloaded. Rich usually has some pretty good stuff going on. If he's doing a show tonight, it'll be worth listening to. Thanks again for being here and being part of this for whatever reasons you decided to do this on a Sunday evening. You could have been doing anything, but you could have been like everybody else and been watching sports ball, but instead you were here with us, and I appreciate it so much. Make sure that you contact your Congress critters and elected representatives and let them know what you think. Send them a snail mail, email, telephone, telegraph, carrier pigeons, bicycle messengers, smoke signals, anything and everything that you have to do to let them know what you think. And never, ever, ever give up the fight. I'll see you guys on the next one.